here to talk about this film right away, because if I didn't, I would have forgotten it. I think I may have found a film that is even worse than The Day of the Living Dead. And surprisingly, this is not an Echo Bridge acquisition film. It doesn't say it anywhere on the back. Then again, doesn't say too many people had a hand in this film. It seems that 101 Films produced it. And then we have 4 other film companies here called Relic Films, Greenway Entertainment, Cinema Dog Films, and Wonder Film. So 4, 5 hands, companies, passed through this at least a little bit. Must have just been tossed around for a while before somebody decided to finally throw it out there. It stars some people. Toya Wilcox, a pop legend. Mark Wingate from Snow White and the Huntsman. Can't remember what Mark Wingate played. They star in Dollhouse. A care home for child runaways takes in an 11-year-old girl. Her only belongings, a doll and a mysterious dollhouse. She refuses to speak and won't ever let go of her doll. As the days pass, the residents start to disappear, while the dollhouse steadily gains new inhabitants. That's the premise back of a case film, whatever. And normally I like to talk about how accurate the case is, like the cover, how accurate is it to the film. That's not what the dollhouse looks like, that's not what the doll looks like. Let's see here, that's not what the doll looks like. What else is over here? That shot is in the film. This little shot right here, the fire, well, on your right, left, right, your right, my left. Right here, this shot is in the film. This fire is in the film. This character is also in there. I think she's also there. And yeah, surprisingly, at least these screenshots are all from scenes of the film. I'm surprised there. I'll give it some points. And as you notice, I'm spending far more time talking about the case than I am about the film. And there's good reason for that. It's 86 minutes long. Mercifully short. The case is actually a pretty sturdy one. It's made of a sturdy top cover and an easy to remove disc and decent back cover as well. And you know this is an Echo Bridge because Echo Bridge films usually have a barcode on the disc as well. I suppose I can't put it off any longer. Let's talk about the film. Dollhouse opens with our protagonist, a mute, middle-aged woman who runs a child care home for lost kids that are experiencing troubles in life. They're misunderstood. She houses an in-between home for them while they're getting their lives together in between the past, their future, and all that stuff. She communicates through post-it notes. She writes things on the post-it notes, such as hello, like that. She just writes words on the post-it notes, and shows it to people, and this is how she communicates with them. Everybody else is in mute except for the girl. And the girl with the doll, the creepy girl with the creepy doll. She doesn't talk, but she doesn't communicate with post-its like the in-between house lady. And I don't know anybody's names in this film, because it's a very forgettable film, and I'm actually struggling to remember it. But there is one thing I do remember. It seems that somebody already wrote all of the words that she was going to be communicating. So say that this page says hello. On this page, this is, let's say this is how are you? Let's say this one says how are you, and this one says hello. It seems that this film does not actually spend time with her writing these words out. They just give you like a brief second of her writing one line, and then she immediately cuts to her showing 3 to 4 lines of text. I get that. I get that they want to save some time that way. So they just have her fake write, then immediately show, rip it off, then have her fake write another response, but it's already written, you know. So maybe they're making cuts. Maybe they're making cuts, and that's fine, whatever. But it just seems like they're skimming over a lot of that stuff. And I don't know. I liked that she's communicating this way. It's an interesting way of communicating for somebody who can't speak. So at least there's one good thing I could say about this film. At least one. Now, do I have a second good thing to say about this film? Probably not. Probably not. She's at a clothing store looking for clothes, the lady who runs the in-between house. And one of the shopkeepers is a friend of hers, and she recommends that she go to this seance lady's little speaktorium or something, whatever. It's in this little auditorium where people can go in and sit down as the seance lady communicates with the dead and basically tries to scam you, because it's really fake in a lot of ways. Because it just sounds overly fake. She's using a lot of guesswork, and as people stand up to go like, oh wow, you're completely right, she gives very vague answers, going like, oh, they miss you, they love you, but they think you're gonna be okay. There's very vague stuff. She doesn't talk about specifics in their lives and all that stuff. You never want to do that when you're going to do this stuff. You don't get into specifics, because if you get into specifics, whatever. But you get the feeling that she's a fraud. You do. You get the feeling that she is a fraud. And for the first half of for the bulk of the seance lady's seance, it is faked. But then she lays her eyes on the in-between house lady, and suddenly she starts to shake. She starts to convulse, as if she's having a seizure of some sort. So, and then she starts speaking in a demonic voice directly to the in-between house lady, and she's telling all the other auditorium members to get out. Mystical wind is starting to blow. It's knocking everybody down. It's knocking all the chairs down. It's closing and opening doors, closing and opening window shutters. It's all very spooky atmosphere and all that stuff. So, the in-between house lady escapes from the auditorium and runs all the way home, where she's stalked by a paranormal investigator who runs an online blog. They have a little bit of a chat before the in-between house lady shoves off the investigator, because she's getting a new member to her in-between house, an 11-year-old girl who carries a creepy doll. And that's her entire character. We don't really spend too much time with her. All we know is that she has a creepy doll, and she cannot speak. She has no other form of personality. She's on screen for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes of an 86-minute film. You can imagine that there's a lot of stuff that's left out of her character, and I feel that you could have done a little bit more with that. So, what else? They give the creepy doll girl a tour of the house. Well, the in-between lady can't speak. She has to write on post-it notes. So she has one of the other tenants, a blonde that she looks after, to give the tour instead. And the in-between lady is just walking around, following them around, and being all smiles and happy. There's not a lot you can do when you're mute. So you usually have to use a lot of facial expressions. You have to use a lot of visual acting, and the lady didn't seem to have too much of that going on. But she wants to make sure that you know that even though she can't speak, she's a fully functioning sociologist who has experience in this field and loves what she does. So all of that is fine. It's fine. And I like that this is like a unique method of storytelling in regards to a protagonist, kind of like Dollface. Imagine that, an interesting thing with a doll in the name. The other film that I talked about, Dollface, with Alex Villarette, she didn't speak in the whole film. She was speaking narratively, and I thought that was unique. It wasn't really needed. You didn't really need that, but it was unique all the same. In this film, we have the lady be a mute because of some past trauma that she experienced in her life that scared the voice box out of her. So that's why she talks using post-it notes and all that stuff. After that, the film gets very, very forgetful. I have no idea what goes on in the middle. The creepy doll lady's being creepy, and she's being creepy to the other two tenants. There's this dude, whose name I don't know. He's just a douche. And then there's the blonde girl, whom the creepy doll lady kinda likes, because the blonde is kind to her, and she responds well to kindness. But she's suffering from the creepy doll and the creepy doll's influence on her. As time goes on, the creepy doll starts to take over the 11-year-old girl's body, and then she picks up an axe and chops one of the tenants to death. It's very low budget. You don't get to see any of it. Of course, you don't get to see any of it. But she chops one of the tenants, the douche dude. He's gone for the rest of the film. And then they have a girls' night out the following day, because the in-between house lady thinks that the dude just ran away. So she's gonna have a girls' night out with Blonde and the 11-year-old creepy doll girl, and they go out and they do a little montage, and the montage is fine. I don't care about the montage. They go home, and the creepy doll lady does more creepy doll stuff, and she kills the blonde. The psychologist that the in-between house lady calls to investigate the creepy doll girl starts to find out that she's creepy, obviously. And when he realizes that she's creepy, he says that you need to get rid of her. She's creepy. That's basically what she says. And the paranormal investigator lady shows up and agrees with the psychologist and says, she's creepy. You should probably do something about that. But the in-between house lady says, nah, she's fine. So they do some investigation work, and the psychologist finds out that she's not actually the name on the dossier of the actual 11-year-old girl that was supposed to show up at this house. So he shows this information to the in-between house lady, and that information goes nowhere. And then the creepy doll lady kills the psychologist, and I think she also kills the paranormal investigator lady. I don't know, but they're both off screen. They're dead. They're gone. And then the final confrontation is with the in-betweener and the creepy doll girl, and she burns down one of the doll houses, and this seems to disrupt some of the creepiness going on. And then she takes the creepy doll's doll from the doll house. Because as you see in the back here, each person she kills, there's a new tenant in her little creepy dollhouse. This isn't actually the dollhouse, it's a different design. But in that dollhouse, there is a doll figure of the 11-year-old girl. And the in-betweener takes that doll and shreds it down a pencil sharpener. And this seems to get rid of the creepy doll girl. So the creepy doll girl bursts into flames and vanishes. And suddenly, the in-betweener, the lady from the in-between house, she could suddenly talk again. Her trauma is over and she could talk again. That's great. And then the film ends. There is nothing going on here. And probably had I not spent the 15 minutes or so to talk about this film, I would have forgotten it before I went to bed tonight. This is a dollar bin movie that you should leave at the dollar bin and not watch unless you want to watch it with friends and have a big laugh at the cheesiness of it. Because other than that, this isn't a film you want to go watch expecting something to be good. This is one of those films that can be entertainingly bad, but not entertainingly bad on a Neil Breen or a Tommy Wiseau level of bad, and certainly not a Nicolas Cage level of bad. It's not that entertaining. It's not that entertaining at all, but I can find some things that you might laugh at when you're watching it with friends, just to have fun with it. But if you're watching this alone, don't do it. This dollar beat me. Be more imaginative than this.